Prodigal son, what's up? It's November 10th. I'm making a bunch of short clips, putting them all into one video, so you may hear me say what's up a couple times. Just ignore it. Saudi Arabia's crown prince on Friday called for an end to the war in Gaza. A stance later echoed in a declaration with African leaders attending a summit in Riyadh. Reuters report. Yeah, man, I can't talk today. Reports. We condemn what the Gaza Strip is facing from military assault, targeting of civilians, the violation of international law by the Israeli occupation authorities, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said during the African-Saudi summit in the kingdom's capital. We stress on the need to stop this war and the forced displacement of Palestinians, he added. Israeli airstrikes hit 3 Gaza hospitals and a school on Friday, killing at least 27 people, and a ground battle was underway near another hospital. And I heard about them surrounding a hospital. So, I don't want to see people die anywhere. But this has been a long-standing war between Israel and Gaza before Israel was Israel this time around. And I tend not to worry about it, except that the other video I said that we're watching for a leader to come forward to declare peace and draw up a peace plan between Israel and Gaza could be the Antichrist. One big arrow pointing at someone is this guy, bin Salman. He has a lot of Antichrist properties. This guy, we need to keep a close eye on. And the leader from Qatar is also trying to bring peace to the Middle East. So, if we see a leader come and make peace, that could be the Antichrist. Now, biblically speaking, the only one that really fits that we know of as the Antichrist as of now is King Charles. I had to think about it for a second. As far as biblically, he's the only one that lines up as the Antichrist so far from a biblical standpoint. But that doesn't mean that someone else couldn't come along and even be more so. It's just up to this point. If you look at Tim Cohen, he wrote the book, The Antichrist in a Cup of Tea. It will blow you away the amount of information this guy's collected on King Charles. Still doesn't mean King Charles is the Antichrist, but if you ever listen to any of his videos or read his book, you'll see that he has a very strong argument for why King Charles could be the Antichrist. So just something to watch for. If this simmers down and dies off without any one leader coming forward, we know it's not time yet. But if we see a leader come forward and bring this together, it's, I mean, again, like I said, I believe we're living in that timeline. So, something to keep an eye on. Oh, yes. What's up, YouTube? Prodigal son, back again. And we're going to start off with scumbaggery, but also good news. Because chaos erupts at Chicago City Council meeting over sanctuary city status. Chicago spending up to $40 million a month on migrant crisis. $40 million a month? Could you imagine if the city spent $40 million a month on us? Giving us money, fixing our roads, infrastructure, making sure we all have health care and all that stuff. Could you imagine what it would be like if they cared about us like they care about these criminals coming over the border illegally, given passports and social security numbers and driver's license and phones and laptops and cars, given them illegally, unconstitutionally? So that makes the politicians that are in on this criminal, and the people coming over the border are also criminals. They will always be criminals unless they go through the proper procedures to come into this country. We need to shut the doors and lock them. We don't need any more people in this country. We have enough of our own problems. And what is it with these politicians? Why are they so hell-bent on giving away everything that is ours. These foreigners, they don't have any roots here. They don't have any family ties here. Their family didn't live here for hundreds of years and help build this country, shed blood for this country. They have no right being here. This is our land. I believe this land was given to me by God. That the politicians don't have a right to step on what God has given us. That's bad enough. To let them give it all away is a crime in itself. Protesters shut down a Chicago council meeting on Tuesday during a debate over allowing residents to decide whether the city should remain a sanctuary city for migrants. Frustrated residents, mostly African Americans. Good to see you guys are joining the fight. I pray that means you're voting Republican. Not all Republicans are worth voting for. We know that. But the ones that are the good ones, I hope are who you're voting for. I hope we are all doing our due diligence on finding out who these people are. Like Vivek Ramaswamy, or however you say his name. I love what he's saying, but I don't trust it. He came out of nowhere like Obama did, and I have a hard problem dealing with that. I don't trust that, but that doesn't mean that he is someone to worry about. I'm just saying, it's one of those things. But, yeah, glad to see Chicago's in the fight, and no one should be giving $40 million away, like this. This is just... Chicago struggles to house waves of migrants as freezing temperatures hit the city. I mean, I know a lot of Chicago people need help, and they're not helping them. Begging Biden for help with migrant surge, rejects the $1.4 billion aid, wants $5 billion instead. Oh my gosh, these people are nuts. This is insane. This is what I mean. We can't keep electing these people if we want to have a country left to live in. Get on the right side of things, people. Michigan Township Green Charter votes out its entire local government over China-linked EV battery maker Goshen's plan to build a factory there. The entire local government of a small Michigan township was voted out this week in a recall election over concerns about a Chinese-affiliated company's plan to build an electric vehicle battery plant nearby. Yeah, why isn't America building batteries for EVs or anything else? Why is China allowed to come in and start a company, but a lot of Americans can barely get a company started because the EPA wraps you up in so much red tape? Oh, you're going to destroy the planet and poison the planet and all that. But China's allowed to come in to this country and do it. In a special election on Tuesday, Green Charter Township's 5 incumbent board members were all Republicans. Rhinos, Republican in name only. Rhinos are Republican, but do everything as a Democrat or a Marxist. Were voted out in favor of candidates who ran without a party affiliation. Kind of like RFK that we don't hear anything about. Hours after the vote, the town's new leaders wasted no time changing the locks on the township's main government buildings. Oh, I applaud you, Michigan people. The community of just 3,200 residents leans Republican, voted for Trump in 2020 by a margin of 22%. The petition that launched the recall election accused town officials of ignoring voter concerns over China-linked company Goshen's plan to build their plant there because they believe it's a plan for China to infiltrate this country. Well, imagine that, like they're infiltrating through the southern border. Imagine that. So, we all need to be more like Michigan. I mean, I live in Penn State, where Penn State College is. Where Penn State University is, the college at State College, PA. And when I first moved up here 5 years ago, or more like 8 years ago, I guess, you'd see a lot of American kids, but you saw a lot of Chinese kids. And then over like the first 4 years of living here, it became almost all Chinese foreigners living here more than Americans. Now it's more Chinese and Indian and a bunch of other sprinkled foreigners in there over America. Like, I literally feel like I'm not in my own country anymore. I feel like I live in some foreign country, that I'm the minority as a white American, and I don't like it. Why are these governments across the country so hell-bent on destroying our country? Like Chicago wanting to spend $40 million a month to give money to migrants, illegals, criminals. If you come across the border illegally, you are always a criminal. You will always be a criminal in my book. Well, why are they so willing to help the criminals and not the Americans? I mean, I'm going to buy a car and spend more on an interest rate than I am the car payment because of Bidenomics. Man, I could sure use $40 million a month given to me, or even a portion of it, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure a few of you listening to this could use some money handed over to you through hard times. I can't even buy heating oil for my house yet. And then I work for Walmart as a delivery driver, and they have so many foreigners driving up here, it's unreal. And if you go into Walmart, they'll hire all the foreigners, they'll hire all the queers, they'll hire all the crazy-haired, freaky, weird people. But if you're some white American who can think like a manager and doesn't need to be babysat and told what to do and can think for yourself, well, they're not interested in that. Because, you know, people like us, we want 401ks and benefits, you know, normal stuff that America's always had. And now they want to, you know, these people come across the border with nothing. So if they're sprinkled a few pennies by making $15 an hour, well, they're now rich. So they're quite happy. They won't be asking for raises and 401ks and all that stuff that companies used to share with us. When are we going to have enough people? When's it going to be enough? Yeah, there, now you can see me. I thought we'd cover a couple war news. Things going on around the world. First off, we are seeing where Zelensky, which is a total traitor, scumbag, puppet, you know, it's just another Biden, basically. 0 hour in Ukraine. Zelensky does not send NATO weapons to frontline units in fear of rebellion. What rebellion would they be talking about? I don't know. Larry Johnson, former CIA. Zelensky should fear a military coup. American Colonel. Zelensky is trapped. He will be driven from power. Huh. Imagine that. One of the most corrupt leaders in the world is going to be driven out of power. All we can hope for. We just hope that they don't put another puppet in his place, especially one worse than him. Then in Israel, U.S. is sending large armed packages to Israel. The Israeli defense requests 200 Switchblade, 600 kamikaze drones, and 14,000 Tamir missiles. Funny how they just ask and we give. Like, unbelievable. Hey, White House, can I have like $1 million? You think they'll give it to me? What if I go to war with my neighbor? If I promise to slaughter him and his dogs, think they'd give me $1 million and maybe a couple missiles to throw at his house? What's it take for us to get some money around here? A little support, a little love from the government. I don't know. The U.S. government is considering a request from Israel to buy these weapons. Oh, then there's that. They say they buy them. Do we ever know that they buy them? Do we ever see any money transferring? Do we have any oversight on this garbage? Do we have anyone in the government that has oversight over if this money's paid back? Just like Ukraine. We had report after report after report that all of the aid going into Ukraine, whether it was food, medicine, weapons. The weapons were ending up on the black market. The medicine and money just disappeared. And then if you see Zelensky, his wife walks around with a couple $100,000 worth of jewelry alone, $10,000 boots, $5,000 pants, but he's not corrupt. You know, he didn't steal any money or anything. Israel sent a request for the AeroVironment, I guess, cruise munitions as well as other U.S. equipped on October 30th. When the U.S. will make a decision on the request is unclear. The aid package includes 100 iron dome systems and 14,000 Tamir missiles. That's a lot of frickin' missiles. 14,000. And when we have towns of 4,000 people, and that's, you know, almost 4 times that. No, it is 4 times, almost 5 times that. In addition, Washington has sent precision munitions to Israel and also plans to send SPICE, smart, precise impact, cost-effective type smart bombs, worth an estimated $320 million, as claimed in the Wall Street Journal. What did it say? Cost-effective? $320 million. What did it say? Cost-effective. $320 million. Hey, let's just take a whole bunch of pallets of money, add it up to $320 million bucks, spray it down with gas, and throw a match on it. That's exactly what they're doing. I'm just reading over to see if there's anything else worth saying about this, which I don't really see much. I don't know what this whole thing with Zelensky is about, but that gives me hope that he'll be out of there. The guy, do you know where Zelensky got his start? You'll never believe it. He's a comedian and an actor. Do you know what he played in right before the war? I don't know. A Ukrainian president going to war. Imagine that. I think Zelensky and his entourage has fallen into a trap. They cannot retreat because they will immediately fall from a coup d'etat. According to L. Wilkerson, a radical change in Ukraine's foreign policy can only be achieved through a military coup, which is likely to be deadly and bloody. Well, you know, when you got a traitor in your midst, shed his blood. That's what, you know, hey, they chose to be the traitor. They didn't have to choose. We all have a choice in our decisions we make. Fierce attack on Zelensky by his former advisor. Maybe they're sick of seeing their sons going to war to get blown apart. You know, hey, maybe they don't want all their sons and daughters to get blown away for a war that should have never even happened by a president that doesn't belong to be in the presidency because he's so corrupt and such a puppet. The big thing right now that I'm watching for, there was also this. Crash number 2 for Kiev. Russians advance and pin, whatever town that is, sweep north bank of Oskol River with volley of fire. After a brief pause, Russian forces launched large-scale offensive operations in the direction of that town. The Russians broke through the Ukrainian forces from the north and southeast. That town is caught in a big trap. The Russians clear the east bank of the Oskol River and approach the city. The Russians are going full speed ahead to deliver a double death blow to the Ukrainian army with the loss of 2 strongholds. Well, that's what we need. Let's see what happens when I type in this. That is what I'm kind of, imagine that. They don't want to, it looks like there aren't any great results for this search. But that's what the Bible says. That he will come and bring peace between Israel and another war. So is that what we're seeing the beginning of? The beginning of the end, the last 7 years, will the Antichrist come out of this? That is my main objective that I'm watching for, because that is a very, very strong possibility. And with all the other things adding up in the world, I could see this turning into a war, that the Antichrist comes and makes a treaty with many people, many nations, to end the war. This very well could be it. The time is perfect. Jesus said that the end would come a generation after Israel became a nation. And we are like year 75, or it'll be 76 next year, that Israel became a nation. How long's a generation in our lifetime right now? 70, 80, 90 years. So, I mean, the timeline is perfect. I honestly don't want it to happen yet, even though as much as it'll be nice to never live in an evil world anymore, I'm a fighter. I'm not ready to give up or give in. Like, I want to fight this till the last drop. So I hope you're with me on that mindset, that you're willing to fight to the end too, because that's the kind of mindset we need. All right, this just in. FBI seizes New York City Mayor Eric Adams' phones as part of a federal investigation into fundraising. Didn't we just see some other New Yorker politician getting accused of stealing and using his constituents' money for stuff he shouldn't do? Funny how all this happens in these Democratic states by these Democratic politicians. FBI agents seized the cell phones of New York City Mayor Eric Adams as part of a federal investigation into campaign fundraising, a person familiar with the matter told CNN on Friday. The agents seized the phones and an iPad earlier this week pursuant to a court-authorized search warrant, the person said. The seizure is a dramatic escalation of the federal probe into whether foreign money was funneled to this campaign, bringing it directly to the mayor, a Democrat. That's in the article. The investigation is being handled by the FBI and the U.S. Attorney Office for the Southern District of New York. Adams has not been accused of any wrongdoing. Wow, if it was Trump, he'd be already locked up and thrown away the key. But he is the latest politician to come under scrutiny for ties to foreign governments. In this case, Turkey. Wow, another corrupt New York politician. Another corrupt Democrat politician. Wow. So, do you know who Saul Alinsky is? Well, he wrote Rules for Radicals. And basically, Biden is following his playbook to a T. And one big thing you do is all the things you're guilty of, you blame your opponent for. And you try to jail him for it. The exact thing Trump's going through. I mean, come on. The seizure came days after the FBI raided the home of Adams' chief fundraiser as part of the investigation to determine whether the mayor's 2021 campaign conspired with Brooklyn-based construction company to funnel foreign money into campaign coffers. So that basically covers it. He goes on to talk about how he's a former member of law enforcement, blah, blah, blah. And you know what they do? These scumbags, they figure out how the law works and then use it as a way to get themselves rich and corrupt. They all are corrupt. This is exactly what I keep trying to get through to people. We can't trust people like we thought we could, obviously. So stop trusting people like they're trustworthy. Everyone acts like these politicians are all superstars, and you better not put one down or have anything negative to say about any of them, or you're a racist bigot, blah, 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 blah. Use any buzzword you want. When are we having enough? When are we going to say enough's enough for the criminals? I just don't get it. Definitely want to touch on this. U.S. House Republicans plan shutdown averting a measure amid credit warning. The U.S. House of Representatives Republicans aim to release a stopgap measure to avert a partial government shutdown on Saturday, the morning after the Moody's credit agency lowered its outlook on the government's credit ratings to negative. A knowledgeable source who spoke on condition of anonymity said plans for the release of the continuing resolution of CR were still in flux. It was also unclear what from the measure would take. And I'm not going to get into it. They're John, trying to figure out politics and all their crap that they do. But the U.S. recorded a $1.7 trillion deficit last year. Joe Biden's presidency, the largest outside of the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic, and rising interest rates mean that the cost of servicing that debt will continue to grow, meaning get more expensive. Just a few months ago, Congress brought the U.S. to the brink of defaulting on its more than $31 trillion in debt, a move that would have shaken world financial markets. Biden's recovery, or Bidenomics. Sorry, he had to recover us from Trump's actual good economy to destroy it and bring us down again. I don't care if you like Trump. I'm not a Trumper. I'm not a Trump fan. But without a doubt, he is the man for the job, the only man for the job. You look at any other candidate and not one person up there holds a candle to Trump. I'm sorry, but it's the truth.